The MG Trophy Championship is brought to you by Prix. Even better. Welcome along to the MG Trophy Championship, the second programme of the year. We are at the fantastic MG Live Festival here at Silverstone. Great to be back with MG Live, the first time for several seasons. But before we get underway here, let's take a look back at what happened at Brands Hatch and Cadwell Park. Early problems for Doug Cole meant that he had to pit on the formation lap here. He would start the race, but a fair way back from pit lane. Pole position going to Sam Kirkpatrick, Adam Jackson alongside, and a very fast start from the outside of row 2 for former champion Graham Ross. Jackson leads them into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. The massed ranks of the three classes, the 160s, the 170s and the 190s up at the sharp end, providing a great sight as they go through Paddock Hill Bend and up Haywoods Hill for the first time. Jackson leads until this moment. Scrubbed speed off the 79 car. Through on the inside goes the light blue of the Wheatsheaf Garage defending champion, Sam Kirkpatrick through. Then Patrick Booth dives down the inside to challenge for second, grabs the inside curb, goes onto the grass, flicks around, thankfully staying out of the tyres. More importantly, of course, not into the face of the oncoming traffic. Jackson then starts something of a recovery drive. First of all, he's got to deal with the left-hand drive Scott. Another recovery drive in the offing as well from Patrick Booth in the 4G Racing 190. Sam Kirkpatrick, continuing the form we saw from him last year, leads across the line at the end of the first lap. Jackson now up into second, ahead of the Flying Scott. Jackson, who clearly knew he had pace after the start, immediately starts on the hunt of the reigning champion. The Wheatsheaf Garage car defending well into Druids on lap 2, but Jackson has very clearly got the bit between his teeth. Graham Ross at this point keeping a watching brief. A great battle going on behind with the 170 class cars engaged in their battle as they go along Cooper Straight for the second time. The challenge for the lead comes though, half a gap, well a little bit more than that in actual fact, as they go through clearways, and Adam Jackson has got the white 190 alongside the blue machine of the defending champion. They run side by side out of the corner, they door handle, they go along the straight, across the line, still side by side, and into Paddock Hill Bend, side by side still, until Kirkpatrick realises that the Yorkshireman's got the inside line and the lead. Is that the end for the Cumbrian though? Far from it. He's going to fight back as they go up to Druids, immediately switching to the outside. Goes deep into the corner, a little bit too much momentum, and Jackson holds on to the lead for now. Graham Ross at this stage still very much in the mix. Another challenge from the number 1 car, but Adam Jackson retains the lead for now, with Graham Ross keeping a very keen eye on things as well in third place. Now what of Doug Cole? We mentioned that he started from the pit lane, and a sterling drive from Doug through the field. He's negotiated the 160s already, and there goes past John Donnelly, the Milton Keynes-based driver, to pick off another place. James Dennison and Josh Bromley having a great battle in the 170s. Again, the middle class is the best subscribed of the MG Trophy Championship runners for this weekend, so points are going to be very, very hard indeed to get. Battling continues all the way down the order in the 170s, and it's the same story at the front. Jackson still in front. Kaylee Powell, the 160 runner, is one of the first drivers that the leaders happen across in traffic, and taking advantage of that move was the defending champion who goes through back into the lead. But of course at this point we know that the 79 car has the pace to pass Kirkpatrick once, so he'll try and do it again. On board with James Dennison, still very much involved in the mix, and that's Josh Bromley going through. Bromley taking the 97 car up into the 170 class lead. More dicing elsewhere. Jack Chapman in the number 8 And Tyler Ballard in the number 80, again showing the class of the 170 drivers battling it out for podium positions. James Cole in green is in behind, giving chase to these men as they go into Surtees. Ballard continues the chase, finds a gap down the inside, little bit of a nudge as they come through into clearways, but the position is done. What about the front runners, I hear you say? Well, across the line again goes Sam Kirkpatrick. Adam Jackson still chasing. Kirkpatrick's developed a bit of a gap at this stage. Jackson has a Druids type problem, gets all crossed up and into the gravel. It looked for a moment as if he was going to go into the tyres, but instead of that, a masterly recovery drive through the gravel and back into second position. He doesn't even lose a place. So Jackson recovers a little bit further back. This is the race between 22 James Morton and 76 John Donnelly. Some good typical Trophy Cup action going down into Graham Hill Bend. Of course, it wasn't game over for the race leader Sam Kirkpatrick. He still had traffic to deal with, but deal with it he did as he took the checkered flag here at Brands Hatch for the opening race of the year. Adam Jackson in car number 79 coming home for second. Third place going to Graham Ross. So an eventful race to get us underway in the 2022 season. The top 10 looking like this: Kirkpatrick from Jackson, Ross, Josh Bromley winning Class B from Joe Delgado and James Cole, Tyler Ballard next from Jack Chapman, Patrick Booth and John Booth completing the top 10. On to race 2 at Brands Hatch, and in car with Patrick Booth. Sam Kirkpatrick on pole position gets a clean start. Adam Jackson quick away but can't slot into second position because that is done by Patrick Booth. 33 car diving up the inside again. The two cars go into Paddock Hill Bend, but both get sideways. They try and control it, but ultimately all the skill in the world can't keep you out of confusion like that. Heading up Hayward's Hill, Graham Ross a victim, Patrick Booth a victim, and inevitably with cars strewn across the track, it's a red flag. But before the restart, a chance to look at a couple of onboard replays, starting with Adam Jackson. I don't think there's contact, just has the moment similar to that he had at Druids lap number 1. He's in the gravel. There's going to be some tank tape required to get the car out, albeit from pit lane. And Sam Kirkpatrick it was that got a pretty much lone 190 start into pole position. Joseph Delgado launches, as do several other drivers, ahead of Josh Bromley. Bromley's hopes of a double look like they're on the back foot. John Booth had a look down the inside. As we said, Graham Ross and Adam Jackson starting from the pit lane for this one, so more work to do for Jackson and Ross in race number 2. Sam Kirkpatrick pretty much on his own at the front, but again the very well subscribed 170 class giving us some superb racing, not only on the opening laps here but also right the way through the race. Aston Wigley, a newcomer in the 58 car, showing well in the early stages. Tyler Ballard behind him, then James Cole, 97 car of Josh Bromley in pursuit. Graham Ross busy chasing Adam Jackson there. Meanwhile, right at the front of the 160s, Aston Wigley from Tyler Ballard. Ballard nips through in the College Motors car on the inside. James Cole will be hoping to repeat the move in the second of the green cars in shot a little bit later on. Josh Bromley still in the mix in the 97 car after his somewhat recalcitrant start. Cole looks to the inside of Wigley, but Wigley showing some great confidence in the car despite being new to the championship. What about Adam Jackson, starting off the back of the grid, doing what Doug Cole did in race number 1 in the 190s, and picking off first of all the 160 class cars and then one by one the 170s. Here's the view of that pass looking behind from James Cole. James in green, the white car is Adam Jackson. James not making it easy for him. And although they're in separate classes, they are of course racing for their own pride and their own place overall in the race. A little bit further back from Adam Jackson is Graham Ross, working his way through the field as well. Jackson looks down the inside of Cole as they go into Graham Hill Bend. You can see how easy it is there to catch the curb, as Patrick Booth did in race number 1. Eventually the 190 of Jackson gets the run down the Cooper Straight into the left-hander at Surtees, and it's moved done. James Cole manages to get across to defend from Josh Bromley immediately behind, and Adam Jackson has now got to set about chasing Aston Wigley. Graham Ross chasing hard as well. Some very good racing going on in the 160s. Matt Harvey being challenged here by Tsl Timing in the 160. Chaz, who was second in race number 1, going through there to take the class lead. He was ultimately to go on and take the win. Aston Wigley now passed by Adam Jackson in the 79, so Jackson working hard to come through the field as ever, and continued great racing from the 170 class. Tyler Ballard trying the outside run as they go up into Druids, and again a terrific view back from James Cole, who finally gets the position and the pass on Stevenage man Aston Wigley. Cole still ahead of Wigley and Josh Bromley at this point. Bromley spots a gap, goes for it, makes the move, goes through. Following them is John Booth in the 50, and this is the view from Booth. He gets a view of a terrific battle between these two 170 class cars, and he can effectively pick his line. Goes for the wide one, he'll glance in the mirror, see a car behind. He's not under too much pressure though at the moment. He hasn't quite got the speed to go through and grab the position. Out front, relatively untroubled, is Sam Kirkpatrick, who would head for a second win of the season, the opening weekend here at Brands Hatch. He'd also back it up with another fastest lap. Joe Delgado coming through and winning the 170 class with third position overall, and that fine racing continued right the way down the 160 class, right the way through their pack. So Sam Kirkpatrick taking 2 wins out of 2. We were rather hoping that he was going to contest the rest of the season. Whether he did remains to be seen. And here is your top 10. Sam Kirkpatrick taking the win from Adam Jackson, and Joseph Delgado winning Class B in third place ahead of Tyler Ballard, with Graham Ross in 5th, and a podium in Class B for James Cole. Class C going to Tsl Timing, as we mentioned earlier. Fastest lap of the race to Sam Kirkpatrick. Join us after the break for highlights from Cadwell Park and then the racing here from Silverstone. On the 8th of May, the championship arrived at Cadwell Park, the second weekend of the season, and our highlights get us underway with the cars on the grid for race number 1. Jason Burgess returning to the championship after 2 years for his son Fred in the car, and Burgess rewarded with pole position on home tarmac. Alongside him, James Dennison on the front row in the 170, Patrick Booth third on the grid in the 190s, and then Josh Bromley in his 170 fourth on the grid. Bromley fighting hard with Dennison in the early stages for the lead in the 170s, but it was the two 190s that started to stretch their legs at the front. Jason Burgess proving that he's anything but race rusty. Maybe the rest has done him good over the last couple of seasons. And the crowd being treated to some superb racing as Jack Chapman goes past Aston Wigley on the way up into the mountain. A pass here at Cadwell Park is always very hard earned. The twists and turns, the narrow nature of the circuit means that you have to be at the very top of your game to make a move. Once again, plenty of 170s to keep us entertained. The 160 class represented by Matt Harvey, who would bag a couple of good finishes and take the trophy in both of the events. Out front though, it was still Jason Burgess leading from Patrick Booth in second place, but what a battle we had on for the class lead. James Dennison under pressure from Josh Bromley, and Bromley and Dennison racing fair, racing hard, and Bromley just squeezing through on the way up to the mountain to take the class lead. A superb move for the spectators in the sunshine here at Cadwell Park, and that sort of move you don't see too often. Class stuff. Class up front as well from Jason Burgess, who comes across the line to win on his return to the championship. Patrick Booth second, Josh Bromley is in third, and heading the 170s from James Dennison. Joseph Delgado completing the 170 podium. 10th position goes to the lone Class C man, Matt Harvey. A good race to get us underway here in Lincolnshire. On the grid for race number 2. This time Jason Burgess had Patrick Booth for company on the front row, and it was those two that snuck away into the lead. An early challenge from James Dennison, who led the 170s into Coppice, the first corner. All action about to ensue here at Cadwell Park. I mentioned it was tight and narrow, and that was to prove the undoing for a couple of cars as they headed up the mountain a little bit later on in the race. A challenge on for the lead of the 170s, cars every which way, bodywork going askew, an issue sadly for Josh Bromley, who would recover, but it was James Dennison still out front in the 170s as we watch Aston Wigley working hard to maintain a podium position. Now, as I mentioned, Bromley recovering, putting a good move there on the Class A car of Paul Savage. They climb up the hill, as too does the number 8 car of Jack Chapman, here ahead of Joe Delgado. Racing fraught all the way down the field. Chapman dives on the inside of Aston Wigley to try and make up a position. Can't quite do it. And Joe Delgado looks on the inside of the 93 car as the race leader goes across the line to take the win. Jason Burgess, but it all goes pear-shaped further up the hill. Aston Wigley nips through for second position in class, fourth overall, followed by Joseph Delgado and Josh Bromley. And it was Burgess that took the win from Patrick Booth, with James Dennison third, winning Class B ahead of Wigley, Delgado and Bromley. Robbie Walker next up from Jack Chapman and Paul Savage. Matthew Harvey completing the top 10, and another Class C 160 victory for him. Fastest laps going to Jason Burgess, James Dennison and Matt Harvey. Let's hear what the winner, Jason Burgess, had to say.
It was very good. Pleased to be back at Cadwell. It was 20 years since I raced there in the Metro Turbo with the MG Car Club. But yes, it's a lovely circuit. It was a good meeting, and obviously a good result. I can't complain about the result.
So following Cadwell Park, arriving here at Silverstone, the championship table looks like this. Josh Bromley leading by a single point from 3 drivers, tied in second on 44. Matt Harvey, Joe Delgado and James Dennison. Sam Kirkpatrick didn't show at Cadwell Park, and he's not here at Silverstone either. He is down in 5th place. Preparations ongoing here at Silverstone as we look forward to the third event of the year. Let's go and chat to some of the drivers before racing gets underway.
Hello Colin, well, you're back out in the MG3 this year. Have you managed to get some weight out? I know you had some troubles back in 2019.
To be fair, I haven't really done an awful lot with it the last couple of years. It's always the same. You have good intentions and things have overtaken me. We've had a few hundred revs added to the engine to try and help the weight issue, but and also out there today learning the new Yokohamas, I hear there should be a little bit less pressure, but I've not gone down enough and started squirting halfway through the session. So yeah, it's been a struggle for everybody, I suppose, the last 2 years.
So when you were racing, we used to use the cut through at Vale, and now we don't. We use the chicane. How are you finding that compared to when we use the cut through?
I far prefer the cut through. It's nice and quick. The chicane, I think I learned it relatively quickly. It's not too bad. It's slow corner. You lose an awful lot of speed down the back straight, the new pit straight, if you like. But yeah, I think that one's okay for me. I did actually test on that an awful long time ago. But yeah, I think I've got a hold of that.
Right, so we're here with James Blake. You're hiring this car this weekend as a guest round. How's it been so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. Tested the car yesterday, first time out in the car. Just got back from quali. I think we knocked maybe 6-7 seconds off from what we did yesterday, so yeah, quite amazed by that, really. Getting to grips with it. A bit different to what I've driven before. I've driven MGs, but this one's a little bit different to 160s, a bit more standard, so yeah, a little bit different.
How did you find it out on the track? Obviously it's a F1 circuit, not hugely powerful cars, but also very fun. How did you find it out on the track?
Yeah, it's really good. It's a really good experience. I'm here as a guest today because it is just Silverstone. It is so different. I'm usually race at Castle Coombe, but this is just so much wider, and you see it on the telly, and it's just Silverstone. It's really great.
Any chance of you owning a car again, getting out there in a 170 maybe?
Yeah, I think might get one more round in this year perhaps. I think Alton Park appeals to me because it's just, again, it's very beautiful, really good track. But yeah, after that, maybe look to see what happens next year, maybe.
We've got Patrick, number 33 here. How are you finding Silverstone today?
Love the track, it's great weather. But in short, I need to find more pace, so I'm only fourth. And I think there's more pace in me in the car, but I'm not sure where it is at the moment.
Well, being fourth, you got a lot more competition today. How are you hoping for a better race with all that competition out there?
I think the thing, once the race starts, I need to hang on to the guys in front, see what they're doing a bit differently, and see if I can basically copy and improve on that. It is my racing style. I take some time to get going, and once I get going, it's better. So, like the last race we had at Cadwell, it was exactly like that. Once I'd actually done the track a bit, then I sped up by a couple of seconds. So that's the hope for tomorrow.
You're being out at MG Live. Is it a bit more special compared to other meetings here at Silverstone?
Yeah, it's nice to see there's people who come here for all the MGs and they get to watch the MGs racing as well. So it's I'm not too worried about having a crowd, but it's nice to have a crowd to watch you.
Tyler, how would you feel out there today?
I feel good, to be fair. The pace is there, so we had a few issues in qualifying, but if we get that sorted for the race, it'll be up to a chance of winning.
Tyler's currently our record holder for Class B here. Do you think that lap record is going to be broken today?
Judging by the pace today, I think it's definitely going to get broken. Hopefully by me, but we'll have to see.
So you had a small contact at Cadwell. Hopefully that's all fixed at the moment.
Yeah, obviously the car isn't as pretty as what it normally does, but yeah, it's all fixed now, so ready to go.
Alright, so we've got Josh Bromley here, Class B, started second today. How do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, a little bit disappointed to not be first, but it's too fast. Joe was just too fast today, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll have to see what the race has to bring.
So you're a race winner at Cadwell. How did you find that track, and how do you think it was in comparison to something bigger like this?
I prefer like the little tracks like that, and Cadwell was, I found it's like two tracks in one. It was like, I had fast sections, some slow sections. It was really fun, quite tight for car racing, I suppose. It's quite tight to squeeze two cars around some corners, but yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun.
Are you going to change any setup from qualifying to the race, or are you just going to leave it how it was?
We're going to try a little bit. A few things didn't feel too good, so we're going to try and just get a little bit more pace out of the car.
So Matt Harvey here in Class C. Matt, you've had your own way in Class C this year. Do you think you have some competition from James today?
I reckon so. He sounds like he's got a bit of experience, so we'll see how we go. Hopefully we're quite close. We know the cars are fairly similar because me and Chaz had a good race at Brands, so it should be good fun. It's nice to have some competition as well.
Yeah, you had no competition really at Cadwell, so it's good to have another car out there with tracking today. You've also got some Metros. I'm not sure what they'll be like, but hopefully they'll get involved and then you might be able to have a bigger race than you thought.
Yeah, it might be. We'll have to wait and see, I think. I have no idea how fast they're going to be. I imagine they're a bit down on power to us, but obviously they're quite a lot lighter, so it should be quite nippy through the corners, but we might have them on the straight, so see how we go.
You've never raced here at Silverstone GP before, but how does it feel racing on the full F1 circuit?
It's pretty mad, watching motorsport growing up. Kind of Silverstone's where you want to go, and to get a chance to drive on a full F1 track, even though it's going to take quite a bit longer in one of these than an F1 car, it should be a good race.
So many positive stories this weekend. We're back at MG Live for the first time for many seasons. 20 cars on the grid, and the future of the championship perhaps with the MG3 being back on track with Colin Robertson driving it, and very much looking forward to our two races here at MG Live. So fifth row start here from Josh Bromley, Joe Delgado and Colin Robertson immediately in front of us. The MG3 looking resplendent, and a great start by Bromley, who gets away. Robbie Walker is passed by Bromley and I think the MG3, so into Copse Corner they go. Good start by Bromley, passes the MG3, a little bit heavier car, but nonetheless being very much looked at as the future of the championship. James Dennison on board with front-running 170 driver. So the 20 cars head around the full Grand Prix circuit for the first time. Oh, the back end on Robbie Walker's car goes, and he gets a clout as he goes around. Two cars damaged, several cars spinning in avoidance. James Dennison was one of many drivers to take to the runoff, wisely so. Let's have a look from James's onboard. So rightly straight across, good reaction from James Dennison. Will rejoin safely. Here's the view from John Donnelly. Job to know which drivers need to do what, but Donnelly is safe. Round 5 of the 2022 MG Trophy, and it's Jason Burgess that leads, Adam Jackson in second position, Doug Cole is in third, Patrick Booth in 4th place at the moment, and Doug Cole on his return to the championship after taking the Cadwell meeting off. I think probably a good decision for the team to regroup after a problematic Brands Hatch. And he's putting pressure on Adam Jackson. Very clearly, Doug Cole has the pace of the top 3 drivers here. And Jason Burgess, who took pole position, the race leader. As ever, terrific racing going on in the 170s. We'll have a quick look at John Booth, qualified 9th in class and racing hard. We've got, I think, 11 drivers in Class B this weekend. Again, the best supported class of the 3 that we have, but there is competition in each of the 3 classes, which is brilliant news for the championship. And what a great big audience they've got here at MG Live. That was Aston Wigley putting the move on James Cole. Cole in the 88, Aston Wigley, that was for 5th position in class. Meanwhile, running a little bit wide there. That'll be watched by the stewards as they went through Copse, heading down through Maggots now, then into Beckett's, and instead of swinging very sharp right, you'll see that they go on to the rest of the Grand Prix circuit here, the full 3.6604 mile circuit. On board with Josh Bromley. Josh qualifying 3rd in class. Second in class, ahead of Tyler Ballard. We saw Joseph Delgado lined up, he was on the class pole, like side by side with Colin Robertson early on in the race. And James Cole looking to get back at Aston Wigley, gets a very good run here. And here's the rear-facing view. Great move, great pace of racing actually by both drivers. Tyler Ballard, meanwhile, dicing with Joseph Delgado. These two dicing it out for the 170 class lead. You can see the MG3 of Colin Robertson immediately ahead of them if you have a look. Tyler Ballard showing us his best side at the moment. Great that the team have started on the repairs. They haven't got the replacement door you might have seen in the garages in the interviews with Josh Bacon. Thanks for Josh for stepping up to the plate this weekend as well and conducting those. Josh hoping to be back in the championship next year, but still involved and helping us out on the filming side, which is really good news. But what I was getting around to saying was that Tyler Ballard, repairs not fully complete. Well, the repairs are complete, but the livery isn't. This is the battle for second place. Jason Burgess out front, and we might see Jason in a moment. He's in the distance as Doug Cole continues to put pressure on Adam Jackson. Jackson, of course, was equal to Sam Kirkpatrick in terms of speed at Brands Hatch. He couldn't get any of the wins. It was Sam Kirkpatrick who took both of the wins at Brands Hatch, but we saw great pace from Adam Jackson, who runs a little bit wide there on the exit of Brooklands. That means that he's going to have to swing around tighter, loses momentum. Doug Cole needs no second opportunity or invitation to go up the inside, and that is the onboard from the car being passed. Jackson, though, straight back on the case, will tee up the inside if he can to get back. There is Jack Chapman dicing with Aston Wigley. Not sure if Jack Chapman was the car that got involved with Robin Walker on that opening lap skirmish. I think there might have been contact there when Robin lost the back end of the car, but it doesn't look like the number 8 machine is damaged. He is running in about 5th or 6th position at the moment in class. Meanwhile, the class lead between Delgado and Ballard. Tyler Ballard teeing up the inside run here. This is a very well-timed move by the look of it. Let's see if he can make it through. Josh Bromley keeping a watching brief behind, and Ballard in the College Motors car. That was clean, that was smooth as they went through Maggots curve up towards Beckett's. James Cole is putting moves on as well. James trying to close in. He's on the inside of Jack Chapman. Aston Wigley immediately in front of him. You can see how close all of these 170 class cars are. John Booth in the mix as well in the number 50, the man from Chesterfield. And all age groups represented in this championship from early 20s. We've even got a teenager, Aston Wigley, the youngest driver, at just 18 years of age. I rode Metro, cars sharing the grids with Metros, which you can do pretty much safely on this 3-mile circuit. Here's the view once again from Adam Jackson, who is busy chasing Doug Cole. This is the view Doug gets out of his rear view mirror, at the moment not being challenged. Here's a challenge, Jack Chapman ahead of James Cole. Brilliant four-way scrap in the 170s. Again, looking back to Aston Wigley. Aston picking up second in class in race 2 at Cadwell Park, so a maiden class podium for him in only his second weekend in MG Trophy Championship racing. Here's Adam Jackson, third position. Doug Cole immediately ahead. The Aylesbury base driver, 59 years of age, Doug Cole. And Tyler Ballard still chasing for the class lead. Delgado gets a Mr. Whippy on. The number 80 car is going to go through and into the class lead. Good recovery here, though, by Delgado. Ballard side by side with him. They're still battling it out. Is Tyler Ballard going to get back through side by side as they go along the Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands? They go again, still side by side. Good clean racing so far. Don't speak too soon, Richard, as they come into Brooklands. The left-hander very tight. Well, let's go and have a look at James Cole in the 88 car. He's still racing and chasing Jack Chapman, the 20-year-old from Chelmsford. James Cole in the 88, 31 years of age, like his dad from Aylesbury, regular in the championship, has had class podia and quite a few of them, as Patrick Booth now getting in the mix, challenging Adam Jackson. So are we going to see Adam Jackson relegated to 4th position here? Yes, we are. Great move by Patrick Booth, who goes through, showing Jackson the 4G Racing livery. Jackson will fight back, as ever we know he can. How is he going to do that? Might be able to pop down the inside here. Good exit from the previous corner, and Jackson goes back onto the Wellington Straight. Patrick Booth gesticulating. They're side by side. Now Jackson here has got the inside run as they come down into Brooklands. How close do they get? That very close is the answer. Hard on the brakes. Booth is going to be repassed. Jackson knows he's got the position, and that was for a podium position. Very close. 190 class MG Trophy racing action. Here is Doug Cole, though, who will cross the line in the 99 car and take 2nd position in the race. Jason Burgess having secured the race win by 5.896 seconds. Adam Jackson is in 3rd, just ahead of Patrick Booth on the last lap. A great race between those two. James Cole, he is 5th in class, or challenging for 5th in class, I should say, ahead of Jack Chapman. Chapman was 5th and is now 6th as they go across the line. So James Cole up into 5th position. Tyler Ballard taking the class win, and here's confirmation of the top 10. Burgess from Cole and Jackson, Booth in 5th, then Paul Savage 5th. Colin Robertson brings the MG3 home for another class finish. Tyler Ballard winning Class B. Remainder of the results sees Matthew Harvey bringing the Class C car home, the number 20 car in 17th position. Fastest lap to Jason Burgess, the race winner. Tyler Ballard fastest lap in the 160s. So good race to kick us off here at MG Live, and a big thanks to our sponsors, Prix, who have a very impressive presence in the paddock this weekend. And what better place than MG Live, with all of the past, present and indeed future MG fans who might be looking at product for the future, certainly enjoying the racing and certainly looking at some superb machinery around the paddock. While the races take a well-earned breather, let's catch up with our programme sponsors.
So I'm here with Nick and Jacob from Prix at Aylesbury. They're our sponsor for the MG Trophy this round. So how, guys, you brought along three of your cars with you. You've got a few ZS's and the new MG5 estate car. How has the sales been going on everything?
I mean, the MG ZS EV is booming, and because of fuel prices and stuff like that going up, they're fantastic, really. We get inquiries on multiple daily. The MG ZS EV is a fantastic SUV. You've got two ranges. You've got the standard range and the long range. You've got one at 203 and one at 273. The cars are fantastic, to be fair.
Really good to drive, full of specification. You've got all your modern bits: Apple CarPlay, Android Autos, cruise controls, battery regeneration, and as Jacob said, the cost of fuel these days at nearly £100 to fill your tank. It's a no-brainer.
So you've also got the plug-in hybrid as well as just the full electric vehicle. What have you found that one has sold more than others?
The competition of all electric vehicles, the MGs are so reasonably priced, they're knocking the competition out of the water, really. You go to Tesla and you're paying plus 40, 45 to 50, and these start off at just over 30 and just under 30 actually for the ZS EV. So there alone.
There's still an element of range anxiety in the UK, and we haven't necessarily got the infrastructure across the whole of the country yet, certainly in more rural areas. So for as far as the plug-in hybrid is concerned, to do your 30-35 miles, if that's what most people do, taking their kids to school or to Tesco's for the shop or wherever they go and do the groceries, then you can do that on pure electricity and not use any of this expensive £1.90 unleaded per litre at the minute. So we have a lot of interest in plug-in hybrids, certainly, but this one is the one that generates all the interest at the minute, isn't it? Without a doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
So you're sponsoring here at the MG Live event. You've got the racing obviously on track, and obviously a lot of MGs coming out today. Have you seen a lot more people being interested just because of the sheer size of the event?
Sheer size of the event, and also MG as the brand itself. I know it's a fantastic day for us to come down because everyone is for the brand MG themselves. The badge has been noticeable around for many and many years, and
I've spoken to people today who come all over from Holland. That particular individual, top 5 MGs himself. There's a hell of a lot of brand loyalty, and to be part of it going forward is great news.
A massive thanks to Perry's for sponsoring our programme. We wish them well and hope that the MG Live event and the programme works for them. As I said, a little time for a breather for the drivers and a great chance to look around the massive spaces here at Silverstone, look at some of the, not only the current MGs, but also many of the classics that are on display here. Many of them static displays, lots of classic MGs racing. Before we go to race 2 though, we've got a new driver in the paddock this weekend, Sam Meagher. Let's hear from him.
I'm here with Sam Meagher. He's racing in the 170 Class B. It's your first time out ever in a race car. How did you find it out on track today?
Yeah, good fun, to be honest. Complete novice, so I didn't know where I was going to fare with everyone else, and yeah, just good fun, really.
So you're on Silverstone GP, which is obviously the F1 track. Does that feel a bit special being your first race?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, you know what I mean? It's a good story to tell everyone, so yeah.
All right, so we've got Adam Jackson here. He's racing in Class A. You missed Cadwell, so you're out of Brands. Have you had any tweaks since Brands hatched for this race?
No, we just got the car back rolling, to be fair. Yeah, we had a bit of damage from Brands, so just to get it back rolling for the weekend. Engine-wise, it's just same, so we just straightened it up and got it out.
On to our second race of the weekend. Jason Burgess once again on pole from Adam Jackson and Doug Cole. Patrick Booth is 4th, then Robbie Walker and Paul Savage. Class B is headed by Joseph Delgado from Tyler Ballard, then Colin Robertson in the MG3. 3rd in the 170s, Josh Bromley from James Dennison, James Cole and Aston Wigley. Then it's Jack Chapman and John Donnelly. Sam Meagher and John Booth next up from Andrew Heron, James Blake and Matt Harvey. Blake on the 160 pole. We are racing and we're in car with the man second position on the grid, and a great start by Jason Burgess, gets away well. The white car we were on board with in second position is Adam Jackson. You'll know that now from watching most of this programme. Patrick Booth up into 3rd place, and it is, I think, Joseph Delgado who has converted pole position in the 170 class into pole position as they go through Beckett's for the first time and head down towards the Hangar Straight. There's Tyler Ballard being challenged by James Dennison. Colin Robertson is up ahead at the moment. The MG3 I think has got ahead of the 170s. Great to see the MG3 here. If you're watching this programme and thinking about joining the championship, you could do something just a little bit different by jumping into an MG3. It's going to have, I would say, probably a little bit more longevity than the 160s, 70s and 90s, and I'm not criticising those at all because they're the mainstay of the championship at the moment, but the MG3, always a pleasure to see those cars on the road, even more so to see him on track as the future of competition. As Jason Burgess put under pressure by Jackson, who makes a great move along the straight. He looks across to see whether he's got the space to take the apex into Brooklands. He hasn't, and Jason Burgess defended well. That was very fair driving between the pair of them. Jackson had his nose in front. It is possible in some formulae to make it round the outside there. Maybe not in the 190s, but a good clean bit of racing between the pair of them as they come to complete the first lap here on the Grand Prix circuit. Not, of course, starting on the new Grand Prix start. We're using the classic Grand Prix start, which actually, to my mind, is slightly better. I do like the national circuit. And they go through Copse for the second time, and Jackson's lost a little bit of ground at the moment, maybe accentuated a little bit from the onboard camera. Patrick Booth in third, Doug Cole down in fourth. Booth challenging for second now, and here's our view of that from the fourth position man, Doug Cole. Championship for many of these drivers starts now. Cole goes through. Oh, look at the mirror, got knocked there. They were very close, and Patrick Booth goes off the track. Was that as a result of that little clash? We ride with Tyler Ballard. Josh Bromley immediately in front. Dabbing on the brakes is the 97 car, qualified third in class. James Dennison was down behind them, and off goes the 80 car of Tyler Ballard. I had a nasty thought for a moment that he was going to go over. Had a slight moment on two wheels. Saw James Dennison down behind him. Tyler Ballard hopefully will be able to recover from that. Meanwhile, recovering positions here is Doug Cole, who squeezes through past Adam Jackson. That was a great move. Two very experienced MG Trophy racing drivers putting on some clean racing, and it's Cole that leads them into Brooklands again. Jackson will fight back. We seem to be saying that all the time this season about Jackson fighting back. So Cole showing him a clean pair of heels at the moment. Adam Jackson, 37-year-old from Leeds. He's had good podium finishes so far this year, and again we'll try and fight back. Doug Cole out front. Doug having that retirement from race one at Brands Hatch, really not been the start to the season that he would want, but still getting some great racing, and that's what you've got to do. If you have a bad one at the start of the season, just keep your head down, come back, and maybe put thoughts of the championship to one side. The front runners in the championship might not do so well. I mean, bear in mind that Jason Burgess, who leads this one, wasn't at the opening round at Brands Hatch, so he's on the back foot as well, and it's an unusual situation for the championship to be in, where a lot of the key drivers have dropped around before we even get to the third event of the season. There's Colin Robertson in the MG3 going through, and our class leader Joseph Dalgarno. Joe in the number 93, looking to add to the class win he took at Brands Hatch in race number 2. There is John Booth. John, I think, having a lonely time of it at the moment. We'll look to the mirrors. We can't really see a huge amount behind what's going on behind him. Behind Doug Cole is this man, Adam Jackson. Adam pointing ahead. Let's get on with it. Let's see if we can close down on the Lincolnshire man, the Carrot Racing entry of Jason Burgess. Here's the view from Doug. Adam wants to try and get ahead. Always amazes me the drivers have time to gesticulate. I guess you do so more on this one. Great looking car, isn't it, that one? It's plain white, inviting sponsors to get involved if you want to get involved with Adam Jackson's car, but immaculate, and you can see from the shine on the 79 wing mirror as he goes through. That was a great run by Adam Jackson. He's going to be on the outside here as they come down, and this is coming down into the Vale complex. That was on the outside as they went through Stowe. Coming into the complex now. Jackson's got the run here on the inside. Doug knows that. He'll turn in, try and carry a little bit more speed out of the second part, maybe go for a cutback on the inside here, which will be the outside to the next corner. Can't quite squeeze through. Good racing between the pair of them. There's the new bridge that's been talked about, that the cars go under. Meanwhile, our leader in the 170s, Joseph Dalgarno. Tyler Ballard running second in class at the moment. I think Colin Robertson splitting those guys. Here is Tyler trying to close up on the MG3. It is good to see the MG3. I hope we see more of it. The development of that car being interrupted a little bit by COVID, and the second place for Adam Jackson being interrupted by Doug Cole, who goes back into P2 past Adam Jackson. What a race these two are having here at Silverstone. That's what you want to add to your CV, isn't it? I had a brilliant race on the Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone. They really have entertained the fans royally in this one. Lights ablaze from Doug for any traffic that he might encounter. That's likely only to come from the Metros, who are a fair way behind, sharing the grid with the MG Trophy runners this weekend. Here comes Jackson again, looks to the outside. If he'd have held back, I think he would have been blocked by Doug. He's going to try the outside again, as he did earlier on in the race, but it's just not doable. Uses a bit of the runoff. He's going to have a tighter turn in again, so might lose a bit more momentum here as they come through the final turn. It's going to be Jason Burgess to take the win, and Doug Cole is going to take P2. We ride back on board with Doug, who would take the checker flag in second position. Jason Burgess having won. Doug Cole delighted to have won the battle with Adam Jackson. Jackson completes the podium. It's going to be Patrick Booth next up in fourth position. There is our race winner, and a round of applause and a very happy Jason Burgess, who makes it 4 wins on the bounce in his return to the championship. Doug Cole second, Adam Jackson in third here at MG Live. There is Matt Harvey, who has won the 160s. Again, confirmation of the result. Burgess, Cole, Jackson and Booth ahead of Paul Savage. Sixth going to the MG3. It's competitive, isn't it, in the hands of Colin Robertson. Joseph Delgado winning the 170s ahead of Josh Bromley and James Dennis and Tyler Ballard. Fourth from John Donnelly and John Booth. Andrew Herod seventh. Matt Harvey, as we said, winning the 160 Class C's. Fastest lap of the race to Jason Burgess, the winner. And in the 160s, fastest lap going to Joe Delgado as the cars come down the pit lane into victory lane.
So here with John Donnelly as part of Class B. It's your third and fourth race this Silverstone was for your Class B since moving up. How did you find it on such a big track?
Silverstone's great. The benefit of Silverstone is there's plenty of space. You can really push around there really fast. Really starting to get grips with this car now as well. My aim this year is to get stuck into the midfield. I think we're achieving that. The lap times are looking good. Car's handling nicely.
So James, you had a fourth and a third. Was there any reason for the just off pace, or is it just one of those days?
Yeah, it was one of those things. It's one of those 2 days in the end, obviously, because race one got pushed over. But yeah, qualifying was not as good as testing. So there's something wrong with the car. It's not quite driving like it was. This was all right on the Friday, and then we got to the Saturday. It was loads of understeer. And then coming into Sunday, we tried to fix it. And in race two, it was a bit better, where we got third, but Tyler was still closing up at like a second a lap towards the end. So yeah, clearly off the pace. Still not totally sure why. I'm sure probably a chunk of it was down to me, but yeah, the car wasn't quite like handling like it was on the Friday.
All right, we're here with Joe Delgado. You had two good races at Silverstone, one win and one second. How was that for you?
Yeah, so it was a really strong weekend. We went into it with 2 poles as well. Race one I had a great race-long battle with Tyler Ballard. So yeah, fought to the end of that, just came away 3 tenths behind him. And going into race 2, managed to keep myself a bit of a gap. Pulled a bit of a gap over second place and came across him first.
You managed to get the lap record at Silverstone as well. Where did you find that pace?
Definitely not by cutting corners or anything. It was good. So it was a bit cooler than last year, which helped us lean on the tyres a little bit more. So yeah, just a bit of clean lap with a bit of slipstream up ahead. Helped get that.
Great to hear from Joseph Delgado, the championship leader by 1 point from Jason Burgess, who heads the 190s. Josh Bromley is third, ahead of fourth place man, 160 class leader, Matt Harvey. That wraps it up here from Silverstone. Great to be back at the best MG festival in the world. We'll see you next time at Donington Park.